Welcome to Paradise in the Pines, a podcast about the people, places, and stories that make this the home of American golf. Brought to you by the Pinehurst, Southern Pines, Aberdeen Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. And welcome to Paradise on the Pines. I'm Phil Waters from the Pinehurst, Southern Pines, Aberdeen Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, joined today by the president of the Southern Pines Growler Company, Gerry Bateman. Gerry, welcome to Paradise on the Pines.
Thank you so much for having me here.
First of all, what the heck is a growler company? I'm thinking dogs barking, and although you are pet friendly, what is the Southern Pines Growler Company?
Well, in all honesty, the growler is a concept that's been around for probably 50 or more years. It's a way to carry home craft beer out of a tap, obviously the most fresh that you can get because it's coming right out of a keg. And it has evolved, as you can see with some of the accoutrements in front of us, that it has evolved from a simple glass jug into all kinds of really unique and neat,
very cool stuff.
Things. Yeah.
So, the beer destination is really grown quite a bit. You've been here quite a long time, over 20 years. But since then we've got the Pinehurst Brewing Company. You've got Rail House down in Aberdeen, Southern Pines Brewing Company, obviously in town, and then Hatchet Brewing Company. So outside of the brewery, those three are owned by former Green Beret Special Forces military because they influence here. Talk about when you first came to this destination. What was it like? What was the beer scene like? Was it non-existent?
Well, you have to go back and look at what has happened to beer in the last 50 years. What most people don't realize is the United States, back in the 1800s, had well in excess of 4,000 breweries around a very limited amount of states. Obviously, we've grown as a country in the last 100 years quite a bit. But the brewery scene was town-oriented. So in a larger town, you may have 8 or 10 breweries. In a smaller town, 1 or 2. And this dates back to, obviously, European days when every town had its own location you went to go get your beer.
Yeah.
In Southern Pines, Pinehurst, Aberdeen, the first real foray into craft was the old Pinehurst Brewery that was created to serve a U.S. Gulf effort to really reignite Pinehurst. And so we had a variety of events back in the late 90s and the early 2000s. And a brewery was started. It was actually down on Highway 211 down south of Aberdeen. It lasted for a couple of years. And that brewery really kind of ignited in this area a kind of a local scene. And I think it ignited a lot of home brewing. And I'm sure you're probably aware, craft brewery concept really came out of garages. I think if you ask the guys from any of the local breweries here, they will all tell you they started in a garage.
Yeah.
And it's just a fascinating story that comes out of really a desire to make really unique, good, homemade product, and it turned into an industry that now has grown to, there's over 8,000 breweries as of 2020, has grown into a significant share of the beer marketplace in the United States, over 22% of the beer marketplace in dollars and over 13% in units in sheer volume is done in craft breweries.
Yeah. Now, your career didn't start in beer. I mean, truth be told, Gerry and I know each other fairly well. We play a lot of golf together. We'll get to the golf in a little bit, but you grew up in Germany. So, I mean, I did. Exposed to tremendous beer quality and quantity and so on.
Back in the day, and of course, I'm in my 60s, so I grew up in Germany in the late 50s and early 60s. The German beer scene is a very simple scene. It has very limited, I would say, options. There's not like a million different styles over there. They're very narrow, but they have done their beer making for so many years. They are experts. And so in virtually every little town you go into, you would go to the local brewery there, and the beer would be fabulous. And that's basically what I think got the United States beer scene to evolve from this really very simplistic, very narrow assortment of beer styles into what you find today, which are dark beers and light beers and sour beers.
Right.
And it's just an amalgam of a huge amount of product that really has changed everybody's tastes. If you look at the numbers, which are really staggering, the United States has grown in beer breweries, but not in beer consumption. We still drink about 26 gallons of beer per capita, per person, of course, legal age, 21.
Right.
And that's a lot of beer. Of course, everybody doesn't drink. About 30% of the population does not drink any alcohol at all. So, you can understand.
More for us.
More for us. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So how did you get into the beer business?
Well, when I was a kid, my dad used to take me to it was basically a house that was converted into a little bar. And he used to go sit with his buddies at the bar, and I would go play pinball, and I absorbed that reality. From that point forward, I always wanted to have a place that would be a friendly place where people could go to talk and communicate and enjoy a beer. And it instilled in me the reality that really is one of these kinds of places that people really feel comfortable in. And so over the period of my life, I was a salesman as well as a buyer in the retail business for many, many years. And I got to the point where I pulled back from that reality. And back in 2013, the state of North Carolina realized that beer was a place they wanted to put focus. Craft beer was up and coming.
Yeah.
It had really grown in other parts of the country. And so the state, in its wisdom, and by the way, wonderful, I think, effort put to really develop craft beer, and it basically exploded here. We have a large number. We have 400 plus breweries in North Carolina.
Wow.
When you include the actual production breweries and these smaller, like just self-service places.
And that's probably doubled in the last, got to 400 very quickly in the last 4 or 5 years, I'd imagine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We were hardly on the map 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Literally, there was a handful of breweries. It's a testament to the wisdom of the government to see that craft beer really is an opportunity to take a homegrown business, a local homegrown business, and expand it. And so the craft beer industry employs a tremendous amount of people. It generates a tremendous amount of local economic impact, whether it be through the actual sales of the product or the construction of new buildings, new tap rooms, new whatever. It also creates a tremendous amount of new opportunities with agriculture, growing the materials needed, whether it's grains or whatever it is. It's just been an engine that has done this country a tremendous amount of good.
Now, when you started the Growler Company in Southern Pines, you were in a different location than you are now. How did you get the Growler Company concept started and go from there?
Yeah, the actual effort that the state put in was to recognize that they needed to open doors, allow more options. And one of those options was the allowance of shops like ours to pour growlers. That was not available until they passed the law back in 2013. It actually passed in October of 2013. Brandy and I, my partner, we started looking at this when we found out that the state was looking at making that change in the law. And so our efforts started in the summer of 2013, and we opened our shop in December of 13. We were the second shop in the state. The first shop was in Asheville. It's It closed a couple years after it opened because I think they had problems with logistics with the way they were running their operation. They could not make it work. So we're actually the longest operating growler shop in the state of North Carolina. We opened
right here in Southern Pines.
Right here in Southern Pines. And basically the concept was bring in a opportunity for people to drink craft instead of drinking national brand product, which they could get virtually anywhere, and offer an interesting assortment of different beers and ciders. And we now carry seltzers and kombuchas.
Yeah.
And so we offer a wide range of products that people can come and enjoy in a really comfortable environment that gives them, I don't know, hopefully a sense that I had when I was young, that this is a place I can come and be welcomed and be comfortable and enjoy a pint or whatever it is.
I will say that you could be called the Baskin Robbins of beer because you offer 32 flavors. What's interesting is because the breweries that are in town make their own beer. You import or get your own beer. You actually go and get it. Logistically, you talked about logistics. I mean, while the breweries have their own beer and they're right there in house and it's easy and convenient for them, it's different with Growler Company because you offer so many beers. Like like a Stone IPA from San Diego, or it might be something from Heisberg. So how do you select the beers that you have on display, and again, what types of varieties do you offer?
Well, I think the real concept that we have is I want to have something for everybody. The nature of beer is such that you literally cannot carry everything that's available in terms of style. So you do have to narrow somewhat what you're offering. But our goal is to support North Carolina first. And so our listing is virtually all the time about 60 to 70% North Carolina. Added to that, we have a variety of great breweries that are all around the United States. There are hotbeds of brewing in any nook and cranny, whether it's California, Oregon, Wisconsin, Michigan, and the New York State and up through New England, just some terrific breweries. And so our goal is to try and offer as much of a slice of North Carolina and then add on things that are of excellent quality. And by the way, Brandy and I literally choose every beer that comes into our shop. We handle a 32 tap assortment basically all the time, with approximately 30 to 50 backup kegs. And then we carry 200 to 300 packaged styles of beer. And all those are hand-selected. The goal being to ensure that when someone wants a particular style, we can try and get as close as possible. We may not have the brewery they want, but hopefully we can have the style they want.
What was interesting, I guess we're still in the pandemic, but in the peak of COVID, I was asked, because there were bars that were closed, and if you go to the Growler Company, you will think this is a bar, but you were designated as retail, so you were able to stay open through COVID. And if people want to make their own beer, I mean, talk about if you want to come in and you want to make your own beer, you have the supplies to be able to do that.
Yeah, something that I don't think anybody should lose sight of is the fact that craft really did start in the garage, and we have, as part of our ongoing everyday business, the opportunity to purchase not only equipment, but also supplies to brew your own beer or wine, and ciders as well. So the reality for us is we believe that to support craft beer, we have to support the construction or the creation of that same product. So we carry grains. We have approximately 60 to 70 grains that people use to make beer. We carry a broad variety of hops, of yeast, and then a broad selection of various types of materials, whether they're adjuncts that are used to intensify the beer, are used to flavor the beer, and then, of course, all kinds of equipment that's used in the production of. And it's all designed for small operation. This is not a large scale.
Sure.
We don't do anything in a large scale. So you're talking 5-gallon batches. Someone's making a beer for Christmas for their family, or they're making, something for a party that's coming up. It's that kind of supply. And then we, of course, we try to get, if we don't have something, we try to order it for people. You can't carry in a small shop. You can't carry all kinds of different supplies and everything. So.
Sure. One thing I find interesting, and by the way, Southern Pines Growler Company is located at 160 West New York Avenue in Southern Pines. It's a 3-story, beautiful brick building, brownstone. The Chamber of Commerce is actually on the top floor. The Growler Company is on the lower floor. Great outdoor seating areas. One thing that, as an avid sports guy that loves to watch the game, and I remember one time I came in and said, Gerry, why don't you put up some TV monitors so people can watch the game? And you're like, hell no. You're not. It's not about that. I mean, it goes back to your European heritage. I mean, I think it's kind of cool that you kind of foster that people come in and enjoy having a conversation.
Well, I think there's appropriate places for everything. Sports bars give a level of entertainment that is perfect for that particular genre. What we look at when we come to view what the growler is and how it's developed, we wanted a place that was family friendly. We have folks that bring their kids in. We wanted a place that was dog friendly, so we have folks that bring their dogs in. And then we have just a place where people can get together, can meet in a very open, relaxed environment, and be able to just simply relax.
Yeah.
There's enough craziness in this world that if you have a place that you can sneak away to, that you can just sit and not have the craziness of TVs and people yelling about the latest touchdown or lack thereof, or whatever. We just felt like that was the way we wanted to go. We wanted that environment that people could feel like they could just have a conversation. So we play a little music in the background. I'm not adverse to some blues or some rock or whatever. But
we used to be a roadie back in your Euro days.
Back in the day, I went to school in Munich, Germany. And we were a small American population in Munich, and all the bands that used to come through, they did not want to work with only German speakers. They wanted English speakers to move equipment and to help with security and that kind of thing. So as a kid, 17, 18, 19 years old, I was, humping equipment out of trucks and setting
for
up
bands like
Pink Floyd.
Oh my gosh!
All kinds of Wings.
Wow.
Just everybody that came through Munich during the time I was there.
And I bet they had a few beers.
Yeah, there were some imbibed. Yes, I would have to say you're right. Yeah.
All right. For those of us watching on YouTube, we have some tremendous canteens here, growlers as they're formerly known. Talk about these growlers. I mean, obviously it's your namesake. Man, you got a huge one. This one, 128 ounces here? So.
Well, it's interesting that you should say that. That is the latest change to the law. The state of North Carolina originally only allowed the pouring of a half and quarter gallon, and they just recently changed it to allow for a full gallon, 128 ounces. So that was put into effect probably less than a month ago. So we're now able to pour, if someone has a 1 gallon growler at home, we're now legally able to pour that.
That's great.
Growlers are, unfortunately, they do get somewhat of a bad rap because there is an art to pouring a growler. The nature of beer is it has a charge of CO2 that is put into the beer, and it remains in the beer, in the keg, under constant pressure. So when you release the beer into a growler, we backfill with CO2 in order to keep a salient of CO2 as the beer is filled from the bottom up. Yeah. And what that does is it basically keeps the CO2 from seeking air, because if you were to fill this bottle and leave an air gap at the top, the CO2 in the beer will go to that air gap. And as I'm sure you know, when you've had a can of beer in your fridge for months, you just pop that beer and pour it, and you've got plenty of carbonation.
Yeah.
It's because cans, in the process of canning, those cans are purged of air using a CO2 gap that fills the top of the can, and we do the exact same thing with growlers.
Great. Man, and how much do these typically run?
Well, a standard glass growler, this little guy over here is only $5. Its bigger counterpart, the half growler, or a half-gallon growler, is $6.50, and then the stainless steel. These are food grade stainless steel. This particular line is called drink tanks, and they are a wonderful line, excellently made. They run in the $50, $60, $70 range, even up to $100 for that big guy over there. So they're not an everyday purchase, but they're a purchase that you can use for a long time. And people that like draft beer, we have people that visit us. They'll come in once a week. We have a special every Wednesday. 15% off all growler fills every Wednesday. And what people need to realize, which a lot of times they don't, the way we fill the growler, it literally can last in your fridge for months. So if you come in on a Wednesday to get a beer for a Saturday, you're perfectly fine. There's no problem.
That's awesome.
Doing that.
Well, one thing we need to do as a CVB is to put together a beer tour, because we've grown the destination so much. I think it's great to see all the breweries, the Growler Company. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about the sense of community among the beer makers in this destination? Because I think that's something that a couple of them I've mentioned in public, is that we're competitors, but yet we want everybody to succeed.
Yeah, I think craft beer, unlike a lot of other industries, has maintained somewhat of a cooperative spirit, where and this is, I think, something that really tells a lot about the industry. If a brewer's having a problem with a particular product, they can't seem to get the proper alcohol content, or they can't seem to get the flavor just right. A lot of times these brewers will talk to a brewer in another brewery and say, hey, this is my problem. What do you think I should do? And that cooperative spirit turns into an ability for you to get better beer. In a lot of industries, that kind of cooperation does not occur. And so it's a pretty impressive thing when you think about it. In today's age of competitiveness and, the fight for the quote-unquote almighty dollar, there is still some reasonableness and some understanding that this is a process and everybody has the ability to make great beer, and it's just a question of helping your fellow brewer to get better, and it helps the entire category get better, because people that enjoy good beer will continue to support it because they're getting it basically everywhere. And I think it's been a terrific thing.
And also too, when we come to the Growler Company, there's a couple in town. There were former high-ranking Army officers, Brad and Jessica Halling. They're in plans. The plans are no secret. They've been approved by the town of Southern Pines, going through architectural review. So it looks like we're going to have a destination distillery. Yeah. So, I mean, you've talked to, that's going to be an interesting addition.
It is. And I know both of them. They are folks that come in to see us quite a bit.
Yeah.
Everybody likes a good beer every once in a while, but there are other options out there. Right. And I think it can only help the city. We will become a destination. Folks that live in the Charlotte market, or live in the Winston-Salem market, or live in the Raleigh market, they're a 2-hour drive with wonderful accommodations, with an ability to come down here and spend a nice weekend, have excellent food from a variety of wonderful chefs and restaurants, and then turn around and be able to go out and have a custom-made beer at a brewery, or to come to a shop like ours and be exposed to 32 different options. Right. It says a lot about the way this area has envisioned itself, that we can be a destination for more than just golf. Mm-hmm. Golf is important to us. I'm a golfer. You're a golfer. Yeah. We love our heritage, but at the same time, there is nothing wrong with offering a lot of other options that give people a sense that this is a destination worth paying attention to.
And you mentioned those places, and it's easy for somebody to come down from Raleigh or Winston-Salem for the day. But if you're going to imbibe, drink responsibly. But there are plenty of great places to stay in the destination as well. You mentioned golf. We play many rounds together. And what's interesting is, Gerry, as much as you're in the beer business, when we play golf, we don't drink beer. Why is that?
I found out a long time ago that there is part of the game of golf that has to do with being relaxed and being comfortable. Right. And then there's part of the game of golf which has to do with your focus. And I find, and I may not be, the average Joe, but I find that my focus is affected as it would normally be by alcohol. And so I don't drink when I play. We'll have a 19th holer, right, as they say, but through 18, the focus is on the game and on the comradeship, the ability for you and I to talk about the things that are going on in the business world. Or I find that golf is one of the most amazing things to be able to bring people together of totally different backgrounds or totally different ideals, totally different pursuits, and turn them into a 4-hour whatever round of gentle conversation about things golf and things other than golf.
Right.
And it's just a terrific way. And I'm sure a lot of people do the same thing. They play golf as much for the camaraderie of it and the enjoyment of the people that they play with as it is in playing the game itself. So.
And you mentioned your business partner, Brandy Underwood. She's your CEO of the Growler Company. Played golf at Campbell University. And when we play in scrambles, it's great to have her because she can pound the ball.
She has a capability. Unfortunately, an accident in her past took her out of a professional opportunity. And that loss was our gain because she's been able to focus on building our brand and building our business, just like I have, as opposed to being directed through some other focus, which golf, of course, is a passion that a lot of people have, and so.
Well, when people come to the destination, we definitely want them to drink beer, go to the Growler Company, but we want them to play golf as well. So we play a lot of golf. Maybe your top 3 places you were to recommend somebody to go play, where do they need to play?
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm a member at Pinehurst, so, obviously there are some amazing courses out there that it's funny, Moore County, for the amount of the population, has a really significant golf opportunity. There are courses from the southern part of the county all the way up to the northern part of the county. There's no, I think, any great place to miss, and there's no bad place that you don't want to even try.
Yeah.
There are wonderful golf courses, and then there are just run every day, kind of your average Joe golf courses, and they all have a uniqueness to them. Some you'll want to play over and over again, and some you may want to just try once because it has not been played. And so I'm kind of a I guess a champion of the game. And so whenever I go out to play, I actually look at the way the holes are designed. I enjoy the architecture of the course, and it just it kind of solidifies in me what the person went through to develop the course. And there are just some really great courses in this area. Really great ones.
And newly renovated, we got a chance to play Southern Pines Golf Club. Kelly Miller and his business partner redesigned that along with Kyle France. And I think that's a real treat for anybody coming to the destination, especially if they played it, because you played it hundreds of times in your years here, and then to see the redesign. Just talk about what people would see if they had played it years ago and coming back to the area.
Well, I moved here in 1989, so I'm here 32 years, and I've been playing. I was actually in Elk. It was a golf course run by the.
Did you have the fez?
Elks.
Did they have fezzes?
They had a secret handshake that I forgot, but no. In all honesty, that is a gem. It's a hidden gem. It was allowed to grow over for many years. Too much growth, not enough trimming. Redefining the holes because of Kelly and his group really envisioning that the course had so much to offer that had basically not been allowed to shine. And so his effort, which I think was a terrific one, was to get a great architect to come back in and really envision the holes, put in some wonderful bunkering, reduce the tee and green complexes and get them back into shape, and not necessarily have to do anything that Donald Ross didn't envision back in the day, but to really just bring back a course that lay in a kind of a hidden state. Like I said, I've been playing it for 30 plus years, and it always has been a great course. They'd done some nice work on the greens to bring them back, but there was never really an effort in terms of the whole golf course. So that is, you're right, that's a gem that we are now able to play again that really, even 10 years ago, you would say, no, this isn't the same course. It is a different course. So.
Well, we certainly encourage people to play golf here. You can go to homeofgolf.com to research the other golf course in the destination. I want to say some last words about Southern Pines Growler Company. Where can we find you on the internet, and what are people going to see when we visit?
Well, we are always posting beer. One of the things that I think you know about us, we do not repeat a product. We roll over new products every time a keg kicks. So we have a relationship with Untappd, UNTAPPD.com, and they are a compendium of all things craft. And so what we do is use their system to propagate our board and our website. So if you go to www.spgrowler.com, you can always look at what's currently pouring. And of course, when something kicks, we will bring a new beer in, usually of the same style, but not necessarily of the same brewery. And it lends itself to an ability for the customer to expand their taste horizons, as well as to just try new things. Be a little out of the box, if you were. Not necessarily to drink the same thing you always drank, which is, I think, one of the rich things about craft is it's changed people's attitudes about beer. Beer was a Pilsner. Whether it was a Bud or a Miller or a Coors, it was a Pilsner. And now, boy, there's just so many great things going on. It's fun. It's a lot of fun just to watch the consumer enjoyment of this product.
And Untappd has an app as well. You can download that, and you can rate the beers and everything else. Gerry Bateman, thank you for everything you do for the destination, for the craft beer movement in the Pinehurst, Southern Pines, Aberdeen area. We will definitely clink cans or glasses soon.
Yes, we will. I look forward to it, and I thank you for inviting me on to talk beer.
Absolutely. We'll tee it up as well at a very, very soon date, for sure.
Great.
Thank you. That's Gerry Bateman, president of the Southern Pines Growler Company. I'm Phil Wirtz with the Pinehurst Southern Pines Aberdeen Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, and you've been listening to Paradise in the Pines. See you next time. Thanks for joining us for Paradise in the Pines. Subscribe with your favorite podcatcher. To see more episodes, go to our YouTube channel at Home of American Golf. For more information or to book your bucket list getaway, visit homeofgolf.com. Thanks for checking us out, and see you soon.